Hello everybody and welcome to Kindwyn's Coastal Reads, and today I'm going to be reading to you from a story from Hans Christian Andersen, The Complete Fairy Tales, and the story I'm reading today is called The Angel. Okay, here we go. The Angel. Whenever a good child dies, an angel from heaven comes down to earth and takes the dead child in his arms. He spreads out his great white wings and flies away over all the places the child has left, and picks quite a handful of flowers, which he carries up to the Almighty, that they may bloom in heaven more brightly than on earth. And the Father presses all the flowers to his heart. But he kisses the flower that pleases him best, and the flower is endowed with a voice and can join in the great chorus of praise. See, this is what an angel child said as he carried a dead child up to heaven. And the child heard as if in a dream, and they went on over the regions of home where the little child had played, and they came through gardens with beautiful flowers. Which of these shall we take with us to plant in heaven? Asked the angel. Now there stood near them a slender, beautiful rose bush, but a wicked hand had broken the stem, so that all the branches covered with half-opened buds were hanging around quite withered. The poor rose bush, said the child, take it, that it may bloom up yonder. And the angel took it and kissed the child, and the little one half opened his eyes. They plucked some of the rich flowers, but also took with them the despised buttercup and the wild pansy. Now we have flowers, said the child, and the angel nodded, but he did not yet fly upwards to heaven. It was night and quite silent. They remained in the great city. They floated about there in one of the narrowest streets, where lay whole heaps of straw, ashes, and sweepings, for it had been removal day. There lay fragments of plates, bits of plaster, rags, and old hats, and all this did not look well. And the angel pointed amid all this confusion to a few fragments of a flower pot, and to a lump of earth which had fallen out, and which was kept together by the roots of a great dried flower, which was of no use, and had therefore been thrown out into the street. We will take that with us, said the angel. I will tell you why as we fly onward. So they flew, and the angel related. And here's a picture from the story. Okay, love pictures. Okay. Down yonder in the narrow lane, in the low cellar, lived a poor sick boy. From his childhood he had been bedridden. When he was at his best, he could go up and down the room a few times, leaning on crutches. That was the utmost he could do. For a few days in summer, the sunbeams would penetrate for a few hours in the front of the cellar, and when the poor boy sat there, and the sun shone on him, and he looked at the red blood in his fine fingers as he held them before his face, they would say, yes, today he has been out. He knew the forest with its beautiful vernal green only from the fact that the neighbor's son brought him the first green branch of a beech tree, and he held that up over his head and dreamed he was in the beech wood where the sun shone and the birds sang. On a spring day the neighbor's boy also brought him field flowers, and among these was by chance one to which the root was hanging, and so it was planted in a flower pot and placed by the bed, close to the window, and the flower had been planted by a fortunate hand. And it threw out new shoots, and bore flowers every year. It became a splendid flower garden to the sickly boy, his little treasure here on earth. He watered it and tended it, and took care that it had the benefit of every ray of sunlight down to the last that struggled in through the narrow window. And the flower itself was woven into his dreams, for it grew for him and gladdened his eyes, and spread its fragrance about him. And towards it he turned in death when the Father called him. He has now been with the Almighty for a year. For a year the flower has stood forgotten in the window, and it is withered, and thus at the removal it has been thrown out into the dust of the street. And this is the flower, the poor withered flower, which we have taken into our nosegay, for this flower has given more joy than the richest flower in a queen's garden. But how do you know all this? Asked the child, which the angel was carrying to heaven. I know it, said the angel, for I myself was that little boy who went on crutches. I know my flower well. And the child opened his eyes and looked into the glorious happy face of the angel, and at the same moment they entered the regions where there is peace and joy. And the father pressed the dead child to his bosom, and then it received wings like the angel, and flew hand in hand with him. And the Almighty pressed all the flowers to his heart, but he kissed the dry withered field flower, and it received a voice and sang with all the angels hovering around, some near, and some in wider circles, and some in infinite distance, but all equally happy, and they all sang, little and great, the good happy child, and the poor field flower that had lain there withered, thrown among the dust, in the rubbish of the removal day, in the narrow dark lane. And here is a picture. Gotta love the picture. And that is the end of the story of the angel. And I hope you enjoyed that. And if you like this video, you can click the like and subscribe button, and I will be back tomorrow with another fairy tale for you. And have a great night, everyone. Bye.